Hello, I am coming at you this week with 5 film reviews from Scandinavia. I watched 5 films that I picked up at the video library in Santa Fe, New Mexico. They have this amazing video rental store there, and you can get a whole slew of international films. There was an amazing selection. They even had a pretty significant selection from Scandinavia. So I picked a few out that looked good, and I watched them all. So I'm here to tell you about what I thought about these films. Now, I didn't know much about Scandinavian film history before recently, but it turns out in the 1900s and 1920s, the Scandinavians were some of the innovators of cinema history. They were early pioneers of the silent era as the form was just developing around the world. And they were doing things that people in America and France, where film was first started, were not yet doing. So that's pretty cool. You've got Benjamin Christensen from Denmark, who did The Mysterious X in 1914, and Haxum in 1924. This like crazy fictional documentary about witchcraft. And so they're telling stories using fantasy, using documentary styles mixed with storytelling, mixed with crazy costumes. Nobody was doing this around the world except in Denmark, so that's pretty awesome. And then another famous Dane is Carl Theodor Dreyer, who is known for The Passion of Joan of Arc, which is a seminal film in cinema history. Film school geeks will tell you it's one of the first use of extreme close-ups. It used non-actors. It was really trying to tap into an internal emotional spiritual core rather than being big style melodramatic stagey acting. It was very minimalist set, and it was pretty important in film history, so that's a Dane. They didn't really come back with a splash again until the 50s and 60s when Ingmar Bergman was becoming big. Now, one of the films I reviewed today is an Ingmar Bergman film. It's his Smiles of a Summer Night. It was one of his first commercial successes and allowed him to make what we now know of as Ingmar Bergman films. He then went on to make The Seventh Seal and Wild Strawberries, later Persona, Scenes from a Marriage. The list goes on and on. But Ingmar Bergman is not to be confused with Ingrid Bergman, the great starlet film actress, also from Sweden. They, in fact, were not related, and it took them many, many years before they even worked together on a film. And then one of my favorites is this filmmaker from Sweden from 1967-68. He did a duo of films called I Am Curious Yellow and I Am Curious Blue. I'm gonna butcher his name, Vilgot Schulman. Now, I realize that before I travel to all these countries for 33andMe and meet with a lot of different filmmakers and explore the cinema histories of these countries, I'm gonna have to learn how to pronounce these names better in foreign languages and different cultures, so I'll work on that. But I Am Curious Yellow and I Am Curious Blue are these socio-political, sexual liberation, feminist, like any ism you can think of is probably relevant to the content of these films, and it's kind of a blend of documentary and fiction, reality and storytelling. And it was banned in the US for being too pornographic. Massachusetts had an issue and brought a court case against it. And it went all the way up to the Supreme Court and ended up being overturned. So it is no longer censored, thank goodness. So let's get to the point of this vlog, which is to talk to you about the 5 Scandinavian films that I reviewed. Turn Me On, Dammit from Norway. I loved this film. It was this fresh, offbeat, quirky, erotic, coming-of-age comedy. It centers around the life of Alma, a 15-year-old girl who fantasizes about sex all the time and is therefore considered an outcast in her community. It's set in this very small town in Norway. I'm gonna butcher the name of it. Skåldeheimen. If you're from Skåldeheimen or whatever it's called, I apologize for butchering the name. But the director cast people from the town to be in the film. So the main actors and the supporting actors, they're from Skåldeheimen, and they're fantastic. The acting's phenomenal all across the board. It's just refreshing to see a frank look at sex and virginity and fantasy. And normally it's taboo to write about girls who fantasize. You know, we see lots of coming of age stories about boys going through this, but not many films are made about girls fantasizing about sex. So I really appreciate the filmmaker's approach and the frankness of the subject. We Are the Best from Sweden. It's 1980s Stockholm punk rock homage. Two best friend teenage girls who are outcasts decide to form a punk rock band even though they don't play instruments. And they're just trying to find their identity and what they're fighting for in the world. And they recruit this Christian classical guitar player to help them learn how to play music. And the three become fast friends and, you know, take Sweden by storm. It's awesome. It's fresh. It's full of life. There's just this amazing joy de vivre energy in the acting of these three young women, and I highly, highly recommend this film from Sweden. Lights in the Dusk from Finland. Aki Kaurismäki, apparently him and his brother are some of the most prolific filmmakers in all of Finland. They are responsible for producing 1/5 of film output from Finland. I did not love the film. It was missing a certain pace and energy to it for its genre. It was a film noir, had a very Russian tragic feel to it. The main character is a night security guard and kind of lonely, isolated man, and he falls for this beautiful woman, this femme fatale type. You know, it's kind of full of the cliches and the tropes of a film noir, but it kind of missed the beat for me. I did like the wardrobe and the set design a lot. That was really well done. The color schemes, the kind of symbolism within the set and wardrobe was well done. The Hunt from Denmark. It was nominated for Best Foreign Language at the Oscars in 2013. It lost to The Great Beauty, which I think was a shame. This is a beautifully crafted film. I've seen it now 3 or 4 times, and each time it gets better and better to me. I think it was best described in the making of video by the actor who said that when a great love can be turned into great fear, and that can destroy an entire society. That's kind of the main theme of the film. It's centered around a kindergarten teacher who is accused of basically sexually abusing a 6-year-old girl, and we're led to believe that he was wrongfully accused. And we basically see this man's life unravel and him trying to bring it back. There are so many subtleties in this film. The cinematography is beautiful. The acting is spot on, especially by the young 6-year-old girl. She's amazing in the film. I highly recommend watching this film. Watch it multiple times and you won't be disappointed. Peace. Kon-Tiki from Norway. A 2012 film from Norway about the incredible true story of Thor Heyerdahl, who in 1947 decided to prove that South Americans, Peruvians to be precise, discovered Polynesia. And despite the academic community laughing at him, he decided to build a raft based on what Kon-Tiki would have built 1,500 years prior to sail from Peru to Polynesia, and everyone thought it was a suicide mission, and he charmed 5 friends into going with him, and in fact they did succeed, and it was just the most inspiring, uplifting, amazing story, and it's told so wonderfully on film here. It was nominated for a 2013 Best Foreign Language Oscar. It didn't win. Incidentally, Thor in 1947 took a camera with him even though he was a novice and documented the whole thing, and he won the 1951 Documentary Academy Award. So really fascinating story. The crew was Norwegian and they shot most of it on the actual raft, which they were advised not to, but they took a lesson from Thor's book and said, you know, we can do it despite what people say. And it just truly, the production was inspiring, and so is the story. I highly recommend watching Kon-Tiki. Ingmar Bergman's Smiles of a Summer Night from Sweden. This was one of his first films, his first successful films, from 1955. It's set in 1901. Now, I didn't even realize it was a period piece until afterwards, because it felt so fresh and modern for 50s cinema. It was very frank about talking about sex and virginity and infidelity and relationships and things that Americans of that era shied away from. Back then you couldn't even show a man and a woman in the same bed in American Hollywood film, but here one of the first scenes is the husband and wife in bed in a very sensual scene. It's funny, it's fresh, it's just beautifully done, it's very theatrical, and it's one of the only comedies I've actually seen from Ingmar Bergman, which was a delight to watch. So I highly recommend Smiles of a Summer Night. Well, I hope this has inspired you to watch some new films. Hopefully if we go to Scandinavia, I'll do a more detailed overview of the cinema of the country or countries that we go to, and we'll incorporate that into the 33andMe film episodes. Comment below, let me know if you've seen any of these films, which ones you like and which ones you didn't like. If there's a film that you love that's from this region that I left out, definitely let me know and I'll check it out. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all that jazz, and watch some great Scandinavian films while you're at it. If you don't like it for me, like it for the cute stuffed moose in the background.